Hi, everybody. We're going to get started with our webinar now. Thank you for joining us today for our deep dive into PAM Booster as a service. This is a tool that Brainwave GRC has created for users of CyberArk. So this is a second in a series of our webinars on the subject. If you were unable to attend the first one, please feel free to go to our website and download the first recording. As we go through this presentation, please feel free to put your questions in GoToWebinar, and we will address those at the end of the presentation. So who are you going to be hearing from today? Well, the first person is myself, Leanne DeBurr. I work in the Marketing and Sales Operations Department here at Brainwave, and my colleague Damien Besson will be here. He's in the Product Marketing Department. He will do most of the heavy lifting on this webinar, as he's the one who will be showing you the tool itself. Damien, please say hi to the team.
Hi, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you very much. So, what are we going to be talking about today? First of all, for those of you who were unable to be with us for the first webinar, we'd like to remind you that Brainwave GRC is a CyberArk C-Cubed Alliance partner, and we are a global leader in identity and access analytics. More than 75% of our own customers are using the CyberArk tool, and with their input and feedback, we were able to create PAM Booster, an innovative SaaS solution that was actually designed to help you enhance your CyberArk platform. So, Damien, can you tell us what the prerequisites are that are needed to start using PAM Booster as a service?
Yes, of course. So you can start using the service through 5 easy steps. And you have a short video that describes these steps, which is available in our YouTube channel. So you can see the link below on the slide. So step 1, you will receive the URL to access your dedicated PAM Booster instance. Then in step 2, you will be able to start the configuration, and you will be able to start also the interfacing of PAM Booster with any public identity provider that you may use. The identity provider should be compatible with SAML2 or OpenID Connect, such as Azure, Google Suite, Okta. Then you have to provide to the service the data about your identities working for your company, Active Directory, LDAP, and CyberArk using the provided scripts. So this is step 3, prepare data. Then in step 4, the PAM Booster automatically creates the data analytics so that you have in step 5 access to all the ready-to-use reports and analytics about your CyberArk PAM environment.
So, can we automate the data upload, Damien?
Yes, of course, you can fully automate the data upload to the PAM Booster. You can do it on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, for instance, by configuring the provided scripts in your scheduling tools.
And once the data is uploaded, what does PAM Booster do with it?
In fact, the solution will automatically correlate all the data from the different sources to provide you an augmented vision of the configuration and the accesses to your environment. For example, you can see what's going on in Active Directory. You can also verify the legitimacy of access thanks to the identity context, so that you are able to answer questions such as, do I have the right people with the right scope of responsibilities who can administer my servers? What happened in my Active Directory groups, providing CyberArk access to my Windows servers? So basically, we will know who has access to what and what happened.
So, are you able to show us what this would look like to the user?
Yes, of course. I've got here a CyberArk environment with in my vault 51 safes. And if I have a look to some of them, here I have some critical safes, which are my financial safes. And when I have a look to the members, of those safe, I find two groups. The first groups provide finance account operators, provide the ability to manage the safe. So it's for administrators, I would say, of CyberArk. And here I have another group which allows to the users to use the secrets secured in the safe. But I don't know who are the members of those groups. To check that, I need to go back to, in fact, my Active Directory environment and check that group, finance account operators, to verify who are the members. And here I can find another group. So it's a hierarchy of groups that I have. And in this hierarchy, at the end, I've got 3 users, as you can see here. And one of them is Ken Meyer. Remember that name because we will see him later in the demonstrations. So basically, with PAM Booster, it's very helpful because it provides one single interface to gather all the data coming from these different sources, Active Directory, LDAP, CyberArk, but also the identity sources.
Thank you, Damien, for showing us that. So let's move on with the demonstration. What are we going to take a look at today? So we're going to take a look at 3 use cases that Damien's going to comment for us. And we'll start with the first one, Damien. Can you help us with that?
Yes, of course. So, but before starting with the first one, I will just explain a little bit the context of my demonstrations. The idea is that we are a financial company, Acme, with around 1,000 employees, and we're providing financial applications in the FSI sector. We have 2 CyberArk vaults, one used for internal applications and the other used for customer applications. The problem is that I don't have a clear view on Active Directory because it is managed by another team. And some of the groups in Active Directory provide administration rights to my CyberArk safes. So I need to monitor those groups. Fortunately, I've got PAM Booster as a service, and data is automatically uploaded on a weekly basis in my PAM Booster instance. So first of all, we are going to search all the groups with safe access, but not only with safe access. We will focus also on the administration privileges on my financial safes, because they are the critical ones for me. Then we will filter through these groups, the group dashboard, and finally, we will deep dive to investigate a little bit more on a specific group. So let's switch to my demonstration platform. Here I am. So this is the homepage of PAM Booster as a service. So you may have already seen this page during our previous webinar. And today I will directly go to the search menu because I want to search group. Here is my group search page. I don't want to have, of course, a look of all the groups because I have thousands of them in different environments. I just want to focus on the ones that provide access to CyberArk. To do that, I will use a very useful and strong features, which is called Smart Search. Smart Search is present everywhere in the tool, and it allows you to create search queries to define new controls in business language on all the loaded resources that you have in PAM Booster. For instance, you can ask to have a look to contractors who have left the company and who still have access to some specific secrets. Or in our case, you can look for groups that provide administering access to safes. And I don't want to get all the groups, but I want only the group that provide access to my safe with the name that contains finance, because I want the critical safes to be considered here. And as a result, I've got 4 groups in that case. And I can add a tag to So create a new tag and add a tag to those 4 groups to use them in other reports and analytics dashboard. Here I am. I've added I've added the tag. Now let's go to my first report. So my first report on groups. I've got this dashboard that show me all the groups with an access to some safe. I have 40 groups currently that provide access to some safe. It's 5 more this week than last week. And I have some KPI also, but I don't want to analyze all that group. I will focus on my specific group that grant access to my financial safes. So I have 4 of them. I had only 2 during the previous week, as you can see here. And so let's check what were those 2 groups. So last week, I had only finance accounts operator and EMEA admin that provide the access to this safe. Now I have 4 groups, and I can see that I've got some child groups in some of the listed groups. So if I drill down in EMEA admin to investigate a little bit more on that group, so I have here all the information that we gather from Active Directory, plus some KPIs that have been computed by PAM Booster. And I don't have a lot of information about that group. I don't have a description, for instance. So I can enrich the information coming from Active Directory so that each time someone will try to analyze that group, he will understand that it provides administrator user access rights to some of my safe in the finance, for the finance infrastructure. So I can add it like this. So now I want to understand who is in that group. So I retrieve here the hierarchy of group, and I retrieve here the child group, which is quality admin. I can find that there is some movement. I have new member in quality admin. Dustin Hardy is new in that group this week. And I have also an account which is a leaver. He has left the company and the account is still active. But when I have a look to what these people do, I can see that they are a member of the IT quality assurance department, and one is an auditor. So they shouldn't access to my safe with administration, with the ability to manage the safe. So what I will do is that I will open a ticket in ServiceNow to ask the AD team to remove quality admin group from EMEA admin to solve my issue. So this was my first use case, Lian.
Okay, Damien, thank you very much. So we've just seen how to get visibility into Active Directory groups, but can we do any analysis on our critical safes?
Yes, of course, we can. So to begin with the use case number 2, we have 2 parts in that use case. So we will begin in the first part to check all the changes that regarding all the accesses to those financial critical safe. Then we will deep dive into one of the safe to understand who are accessing this safe and check if, with regards to the identity context, if these people are legitimate. So let's switch to my environment. So here is my dashboard. I have currently 100 safe and 2 safes. It's one more, so I have one new safe this week. And so I have lots of KPIs also here. I don't want to analyze everything. I want to focus on my financial safes, and I have applied a tag on those safe, the same way as I've done with the group. And currently, so I have 3 safes. So the 3 safes we have seen earlier, and I can see here in the history week after week that I have last week gained lots of new administrators. I have 13 more administrators, as I can see here in this KPI. So, but let's try to understand who has access to this safe and who can administer this safe. When I drill down to the Obsidian infrastructure safe, so I have the description of my safe, and I directly can see who are the owner of this safe. These are automatically identified by the PAM Booster, and I retrieve here my chain mayor, the identity that you should have remember. Now, if I try to understand who are all the users, so I have 11 users that can access this safe. Lots of users are new, as you can see. Some of the users have already left the company. And if I want to understand how they gain this access, I can use the identity graph here. The identity graph gives me an overview on all the groups and users that provide access to my safe, which is in gray here. So let's zoom a little bit here. Okay, so I have my safe in gray here. I have a hierarchy of groups that provide access to that safe. And in each group, you can find user accounts, which are Active Directory accounts in that case. And in blue, the identity with their HR code. Now that we know that there is two hierarchy of groups that provide access to my safe, I want to understand what are the authorizations that are provided. To do that, I can use a very useful report that will provide me at a glance an overview on all the access rights that are granted through those groups. So it is a cross tab, as you can see. And at the top, you can find the two groups defined in the Active Directory domain ACME. These groups provide the ability to manage the safe, and this one, the ability to use the credentials secured in that safe. And here you can find all the user accounts, members of those groups. So I have 3 user accounts here that can administrate the safe because they are member of the hierarchy of group in financial account operators. And one of them is Ken Mayer again, but what I can see is that he's working in the recruitment department. So here I should also open a ticket in ServiceNow and ask for the revocation of the account of Ken Mayer from the Active Directory group so that I will remove him from here.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for showing us that, Damien. That's very helpful. So we just saw now how to analyze the critical safes, but how do we respond to auditors and share our results with key stakeholders in the company?
Yeah, so just let's explain a little bit what happened in my ACME company. We get an audit early this year, and we get 2 main audit recommendations. The auditors said first that we have some people who can both use the secrets in the financial infrastructure and administer the safes that secured those secrets. The second point is that there is also some developers that have access to some safes in production. So let's check the control defects regarding these safes. And then we will deep dive into a control defect. And finally, we will see how to add a new control and share it with the safe owners. So I go back to my demonstration service platform, and here I've got all the reports that are shared with all my safe owners in the company. So if I take this one lists, as you can see in the bottom, all the controls that are defined in my PAM Booster solution. It is automatically filtered on the safes I personally owned. This means that it filters automatically on the 3 safes that I own, including the Finance Oracle DB servers. And it's the same for all the safe owners. They will only see the safe that they own through this dashboard when they will connect to PAM Booster. I can, of course, filter on a specific safe. And here I can find out my first use case, which is the SOD issue, the segregation of duties issues, because I have 15 people here that both can use the secret inside the safe and also manage the safe itself. I can, of course, export this list to use it later, to transmit it through, to send it through my email, or I can open it in a search page if I want to add a tag, as I've already done for the groups and the safe, to investigate later on this list, or apply analytics reports on this specific list, and so on. Now I'm going to create a new indicator here for the second use case, so I remove it. And the use case is that I want to identify all the developers that have access to my safe. So I will create a new indicator, and I will use a smart search to identify those people. So I can build my search on any resource. So here it's identities, because I need to find out all the identities that are working in the department, which is, in my case, the IT Technology and Innovation department. It is where I've got all the developers. So I have 83 developers in that department. And I don't want all these people. I just want the one that have access to safes, but not any safe. I want the safe that I personally own as a safe owner. So I will use me as the current user, so connected as Damien Besson here. So I will check all these new, as you see, KPI. And here in my case, I have 2 developers that have access to my Finance Oracle DB servers. And since my dashboard is shared with any safe owners in the company, they will see the same indicator in this dashboard. So that is how we update KPIs in the dashboard and share it with stakeholders.
Okay, thank you, Damien, for that. So one last question. Do we have any innovative features within our PAM Booster tool?
Yes, we have a very interesting features that is called Clue Finder. The idea is that you may have some changes inside or outside of CyberArk that can affect the security of your credentials and affect risk. All the systems that you see at the top of the slide here, so the identity context, the Active Directory, CyberArk, are managed by different teams. And each of these teams can work very well within the scope of their responsibilities, but they can also apply some changes and despite create risk without knowing it. So this is why we created Clue Finder, to highlight the riskiest situation caused by these changes and to provide you a ready-to-use analysis with root cause and suggested remediations. So let's switch to my demonstration platform. So we will go back to the home page. And here you have the Clue Finder in the center, as you see. That's display all the most impactful changes that occurred this week. So you have 2 main parts. The first one will display the most impactful changes per vault, and on the right you will have the changes per safe, as you can see. But let's take one example. So we are going to focus on this one. It tells me that there is this week 10 new organizations that gain access to CyberArk. This means that there is people in those organizations that gain access, and it's totally new. So last week we didn't have anybody coming from those departments with an access to CyberArk. So let's drill down and check those departments. And I retrieve here my recruitment department and my Ken Mayer identity. And I have directly here the explanation. It's because a group has been added to add another group that gives access to CyberArk. This is why I get Ken Mayer here. And he is the only one in his department to have access to CyberArk. So then I have the recommendations here to remediate this. So I have two possibilities here. The first one is to remove Ken Mayer from that group. And the second one is to check if in that groups all the members are not legitimate. I can then ask to remove that groups from the parent group. Another example, it's if I take IT operations here. Here, it's a changes that occurred regarding my identity context. It's an individual who has been transferred from one department to another one, and he kept his access to CyberArk. And so that now he is the only one in that organizations to have access to CyberArk. So that is how you can use Clue Finder to uncover new risks linked to unusual situations caused by changes in your identity context, like here, or Active Directory or CyberArk.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So let's summarize what we saw during this webinar today. So the first thing we saw was Damien showed us the prerequisites that we would need to start using PAM Booster as a service. After that, we stepped through 3 different use cases. The first one showed us how to gain visibility into sensitive groups. Use case number 2 showed us how to look into safe access and share dashboards with our colleagues and other team members. And the third use case was highlighting our innovative tool called Clue Finder, which helps us identify any changes within CyberArk. So what we'd like to do now is to answer the questions that we have received during the webinar in our feature and GoToWebinar. And for this, we're going to welcome Brainwave's CEO, Cyril Goulaine, who will take the questions. He will answer them for you. And if you have anything else while he's speaking, please don't hesitate to add those. Cyril, take it away.
Thank you very much, Leanne, and thank you, Damien. Just right on time. Congratulations for the timing. So we have a little time together still to answer questions. So please submit your questions in the GoToWebinar panel if you haven't done so yet. And thank you for the audience for the questions you've already submitted. I can see several questions that are more or less technical. I have a technical question here. Do I need to install an agent on my CyberArk PAM instance? And the answer is no. This is an agentless approach. So data extraction is handled using data extraction scripts that are assigned and provided by Brainwave. You can schedule them, you can automatically execute them, and they can automatically upload the data to your PAM Booster instances if that's what you want to do. But otherwise, there is nothing installed on your CyberArk server, and there is no direct connection from the CyberArk server to the outside world. So it's your CyberArk remains secured. I have another question here. Do you have connectors to directly modify CyberArk or Active Directory? So it is true that Damien explained that the result of investigating with PAM Booster oftentimes is to find that there are problems with the way access has been granted to people, and those problems can come from different situations, as Damien just shown us. It could be just because the user has been transferred to another organization and doing a new job. It could be a group manipulation error in Active Directory, and so on and so forth. So depending on the root cause of the problem, a different action has to be taken. Brainwave's stance is that we are a control and monitoring system. We're not an operational system. We're not managing CyberArk. And what's more, any change as sensitive as modifying access to privileged accounts should be traced. So it should follow the standard change management process. So our approach is to go through the standard process, which usually is open a ticket in your ITSM system, for instance, ServiceNow, and follow the track of actions. In an upcoming release of PAM Booster, we'll have the direct connector to ServiceNow, so you won't have to type in the ticket. You will be able to just click a button from PAM Booster, and then the ticket will be automatically created in ServiceNow. Now, obviously, depending on your ServiceNow ticket management process, things may be automated downstream, but that's out of the scope of PAM Booster. Some other questions? Yes, I have a question, a feature-oriented question. How can we get alerts in case of issues such as the one you highlighted in the clue finder? So that's an interesting question. Brainwave is not replacing any operational security tools. I think you will all agree on that. So it's not really truly a tool that is suited to fit, for instance, the Security Operations Center. It's a tool that is used to maintain a high degree of quality of your data in CyberArk and assess and remediate to risks you may uncover in your CyberArk environment. So for that reason, it's more used by compliance and risk management teams, and maybe also IT security teams. And it may raise alerts, but it's not real-time alerts. That's what I wanted to explain. So right now the alerts will show up in the PAM Booster interface. So if you log in the PAM Booster interface, you will see the problems highlighted by the clue finder, and also on the dashboards that Damien has shown, you'll see all the problems that PAM Booster identified. And we're working on a new feature that will, for instance, send a summary report via email of all the significant problems we've uncovered. So in order to push back the information to the stakeholders automatically. Well, I think that is it. Leanne,
Okay.
back to you.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. We really do appreciate you coming on and helping us with those questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Damien and Cyril, and we hope to see you next time on one of our webinars.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.